back to another edition of the Soup Spoon. Tonight we're going to create a dish. It's going to take a while. It's going to have to, in fact, stew on the stove for many hours. Actually, we're going to make beef stew, and that's a dish that takes meat, vegetables, and simmers it in a liquid until the meat's tender and the vegetables are done, and those flavors just mingle, and it's just really good. It's something that I remember eating as a kid, and it's one of those comfort foods that I really enjoy. I like the beefier stews. So we're going to make beef stew, and I hope that everything that you learned tonight is enough to make you want to get out your
The Soup Spoon!
Alright, so tonight on our beef stew edition, what we're going to do first is I'm going to take about 4 pounds of cut up beef. I just bought this as stew meat. So I'm going to, it's meat that's cut into cubes or small pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to brown it in our cast iron skillet. So I'm going to start up my stove and get my cast iron warmed up. Cast iron is nice to cook with, especially for browning meat, because it's able to hold the heat. It's so thick and dense that it holds the heat really well. It won't cool off and cycle through as much as aluminum or something else like that. So while that's heating up, what I want to do is I've got in this bag, my sous chefs have prepared already a half a cup of flour, let's see, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of cayenne. Not cayenne, paprika. It was paprika, right? Yeah, it was. Oh boy, we're getting quite a storm outside. It sounds like it's hailing. I'm going to go check on that and see if it's hailing. So, what we're going to do is, while this is heating up, I'm going to let that oil heating. I've got some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to coat my pan here with it. So is it hailing? Yeah? Alright, well. Oh yeah, oh gosh. Alright, let's pause this. Alright, wow. Well, that was quite an adventure, that hailstorm. While I was gone, the olive oil in the cast iron had a chance to heat up, that's for sure. I had to turn the heat off because this was smoking, so hopefully, well, we'll just see what happens here. Alright, so it didn't get too bad. Alright, you can see that the pan is hot because the oil has this almost waviness to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this our stew meat, and we're going to brown it. We're going to dredge. We're going to put meat in this bag full of flour and spices and coat it. Okay, paper towel, guys. Thank you. Alright, we're going to coat it and then put it in here to brown. So I want to keep some air in here so that it has room to go like that. Now it's going to have time to just kind of jostle it around. I'm going to take that meat out of there now, and it'll sizzle, and we'll get what's called the Maillard, I don't know how to pronounce it, but a reaction, chemical reaction, gives the meat its, okay, now, as I'm finishing up browning the meat here, I just wanted to bring to your attention that I thought that I would go ahead and add some of our onions and celery in with the meat here, just to kind of give it that cooked flavor too. Now, what we have being prepared behind us over here and put into our big soup pot, which today we'll call a stew pot. We have 6 big onions. No. 6 big potatoes, 2 big onions, about, how many celery stalks was that? 3 or 4, 5, 6, 8, 6, 8 celery stalks cut up like that, and a couple of bags of baby carrots. Now you can slice up carrots if you want, but I like baby carrots. I don't know, something about them, I like them. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm just browning that meat, trying to get that thermal reaction, I guess you'd call it, or just a chemical reaction that's brought on by heat with the meat, and the acids and the sugars in the meat. But you see all those little brown bits of goodness? Those are going to bring a lot of flavor to our stew. And we call that the fond, F-O-N-D. So, but as soon as this is done, I'll be back and explain the rest of it. Okay, now for one of the fun parts of this. Now that the meat has been browned and had its flavor enhanced, see how dirty that skillet is? All those little pieces of cooked meat and vegetable on there, that's a lot of flavor, and it would be a shame to let that go to waste. So we're going to deglaze our pan, which is, while it's hot, we're going to add a cold liquid to kind of dissolve, and it'll also help clean the pan. But since we're making a beef stew, we should be using red wine, but I don't have any red wine. So like Justin Wilson, an old TV cook, used to say, what kind of wine to use? He says, why, the kind what you like. So I've got some white wine left from one of my other recipes, so we're going to deglaze this pan. We're going to add about, I don't know, cup and a half or so of liquid. We could use beef broth or just water if we wanted to. But what that's going to do is that's going to loosen all of those bits of food, cooked bits of food from the bottom of the pan. Those little bits are called the fond, as I mentioned before. And it's going to turn this into a little sauce. Alright, so we're going to, now the alcohol is cooking off. I'm not adding wine for the sake of adding alcohol. That's not the way it works. The alcohol cooks off and it leaves the flavor of the wine behind. And it's going to mingle with all of these little bits of goodness that we have in the bottom of our cast iron skillet. Another good thing about cooking with cast iron is that it adds iron to your diet, and that's good for your blood and whatnot. So we just kind of let this reduce down. This is called deglazing the pan. So let's put it on, what do you call it? Time lapse. Okay, so this has been reducing down. It's making a nice little sauce. It's thickening up. you can see, it's not going to be long before that's done. In fact, it really probably is. And I don't want it to burn. I'm going to go ahead and lower the heat. We're going to put this stew together so that it can simmer. It's still got to simmer. So we're going to add this to our stock pot in just a minute. So be right back. Alright, so in our soup pot, I was going to do this in a crock pot, but I don't think our crock pot's big enough. We've got 6 potatoes, 2 big old onions, about 6 stalks of celery, 2 bags, so about 4 pounds of baby carrots. And I want to add our deglazing liquid here, because it's going to add a lot of flavor, and I don't want to waste any of that goodness. Jack, there's a container of beef broth in the pantry. If I can get this to go in there. Alright, putting a little bit of that beef broth in here. I'll shake it. Just to go ahead in here. That's good. Just to kind of clear that out. Alright. That is going to add quite a bit of flavor to our stew. So as I said, in our pot here, we have 6 potatoes, 6 celery stalks, 2 big old onions, 4 pounds of carrots. We've added our already about maybe half a cup of deglazing liquid. So now we're going to go ahead and add the meat into this. Oh yeah, pour some of that stock in here. We've got our 4 pounds of meat here. I hate to leave anything out of our little party here. Now all this has to stew, has to cook together for quite a while. I'm going to simmer it. I'm going to bring it, I'm going to add liquid. I'm going to add, let's see, how much is in this? 32 ounces. I don't know. What is that? Quart. So we're going to add some beef stock and then finish with water. Alright, so that's going to make it flavorful. That's hardly any liquid in there, but this stuff will cook down. But I'm going to add some water too. So let's see here. 32 ounces is a quart. So I'm going to add. Let's use that, and let's get about. Let's do that twice. We're going to add another 2 quarts of liquid to this of water. I'm going to crank on the heat here so that it can start, get this to a simmer. And once it's simmering, I'm just going to let it cook 5 or 6 hours. Look at that. That's going to be really good. So we're going to add our 1 more quart. Another one. Always make a lot of stuff. So this recipe is actually doubled from the one that I found on the internet. I kind of put a couple of them together to see what I thought sounded good. My third hand here is going to pour in the next quart of water. Yeah, that ought to be about right. I'll have to check that over time. My dog Kateri. Alright. So while this is coming up to a simmer, I'm going to go clean up a little bit and let you know if I decide to change anything else. Alright, so we'll be back. Okay, well, it's starting to simmer, so one thing I forgot to tell you is that there are about 6 smashed cloves of garlic in here. I also added a couple of bay leaves and a few good squirts, probably 2 or 3 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. I've got something to say to you. I don't know how to say this, but I'll just go ahead. Worcestershire? I don't know. I don't know how to say it. So that's a joke. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lower the heat, and I'm just going to come back and check on it every hour or so, make sure it's not sticking to the bottom and burning, and I'm going to let it cook for about 6 hours or so. So I'm going to lower the heat, and so I'll see you back at the tasting. Okay, this has been simmering for about, I'd say, 2 hours, and things are starting to get soft, the potatoes and the carrots. One thing I neglected to tell you is that I added about a pound of sliced mushrooms into this to help bring flavor. I love the smell and the taste of mushrooms. So anyway, I added that. But now things are starting to be pretty stew-like here. But for me, I kind of like my stew to be on the thicker side. Oh yeah, that's good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a slurry. To this during the last, I'm going to cook it for about another half hour, but I'm going to add a slurry, which is a thickening agent that you create using a starch to thicken up the stock that we have here. Now, since I had added about 12 cups of liquid to this, about 3 quarts, what I want to do is add a cornstarch slurry. Now, I normally prefer a flour as a thickener, like in a gravy, like you would with a roux, but in this case, if we were to add flour to this, it would just ball up and just be nasty, and that's not a good thing to eat. So cornstarch doesn't do that, so we're going to add cornstarch. Now, like I said, since we have about 12 cups of liquid here, we're going to create a paste. In fact, I already did. Created kind of a paste. For every cup of liquid that we have here, I'm going to add a teaspoon of slurry. Now, to make the slurry, what I've done is I used about 12 teaspoons of water, so that's about 2 ounces. 2 ounces of water and 12 teaspoons of cornstarch, and I've created this. Looks like milk, but it's this is called a slurry, and that's going to the cornstarch. Starch in the cornstarch is going to react with the heat. Is going to expand and thicken our broth here. So I'm going to stir this in. I'm going to pour it in and stir it in. And hopefully that'll add some thickening to our stew. As this cooks, I've still got it. I'm going to let it simmer for another half hour. And over that half hour, this should thicken up. 15 minutes, half an hour. I'll keep a close eye on it. But this is smelling heavenly. The addition of the mushrooms to this, well, actually you can see this starting to look like it's thickening some already. So this, I'm gonna let the flavor of our stew mingle with that cornstarch. Oh man, this is gonna be good. I guarantee it. So let's let this cook for another 15 minutes. Let it simmer. Another 15, 20, 30 minutes. Keep an eye on it. And we'll be back and see how that goes, and then we'll test it. Alright, so here's our stew. It's been cooking for 2 or 3 hours. Alright, as you can see, it's thickened up with the mushrooms. Now, I'd like to dig in here and find the bay leaves. Heaven only knows where they are, but you know, if you get one in your bowl, you want to throw it out. It's given all it can. But otherwise, it's thickened up. Oh, it smells heavenly. Look at those carrots. You can see little onions, mushrooms, potatoes, celery, bits of meat. Oh, and that gravy. This is going to be great. Alright, let's see how it tastes. Alright, well, here's the moment of truth. I've got my stew served up here. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, a pinch of kosher salt, some pepper, and my handy owl pepper shaker. Oh yeah. Oh, and another thing that I think enhances stew like this is a biscuit. I like to have biscuits with mine. But you could have, you know, just bread, or you know, hardtack, or cornbread, or rice, or you know, anything, or nothing at all as far as bread goes, and just have the potatoes be your starch. But let's see here. Oh yeah, the carrots are nice and soft. Let's try that. Here goes. Oh gosh, it smells. Just the smell of the mushrooms alone would be amazing. But then think of the onions, the meat, the carrots. That is heavenly. Get a piece of meat in there. The meat is tender. The sauce is just thick enough. Everything has come together. It tastes so good. I didn't make homemade biscuits. You'll have to excuse that part, but Man, I don't know how you can beat a good old beef stew on a cold day. Not that today's cold, but man, this is so good. I know that you'll love this. You will absolutely love it. There's nothing like it. So, you should make some of this for your family. If you can delegate some of the tasks. Like for me, I had Jack and Jenna Marie and John Paul and Joseph helping, cutting and slicing, peeling potatoes and carrots and slicing everything up, because there's only so much that my back will allow me to do. But man, when everybody works together, everybody has a stake in the game, in the dish, and this just tastes so good. I know you will love it. I know you'll love it. So take the time to make this and enjoy it, because I know it'll help you and make you want to get out your
The soup spoon.